Well, welcome back, everybody. We are in week 2 of our Flavorful and Festive holiday series. This recipe today is a delicious one. I thought I would create this recipe because during the holidays, obviously, we tend to cook a lot of turkeys and then we have a lot of leftovers, right? Which is kind of part of the fun because we want the leftovers. Somehow they taste better the next day. But if you're not a fan of turkey and you're trying to figure out what the heck to do with all the leftovers, this is a great recipe. So it kind of combines some of my few favorite ingredients, but also kind of a little cultural twist, right? So we're going to be making a version of pozole, which is kind of a nice soup for the holidays also, because if you think of the holidays, typically it's a little bit colder. We got the gray going, but we don't quite have the temperature going just yet. It's still quite warm out there, but we're going to pretend that it's a little bit cooler because this is definitely good soup for soup weather. But this recipe is really easy and it's a way to use up your leftover turkey. So we'll be doing this recipe. We're going to let it kind of hang out. I don't think I need to use the Instapot as the kind of the pressure cooker today because it tends to heat up just fine. And basically everything I've kind of prepped in advance. So that way I can kind of talk a little bit about how I did that, but we're just going to warm everything through so you can taste the final product. So diva and dudes at home, hang tight, enjoy, sit back and relax as we pull this soup together. I'll walk you through what we have in our ingredients and kind of how I prepared some things in advance, and then we'll put it all together. So we have tomatillos, which are these little cute green things with the husk, right? And so you don't cook the husk part, although I suppose you could roast it. But what I do is I just take that husk off. And actually, before I do that, who's cooked with tomatillos here? They're pretty common, right? Yeah, and a lot of our Latin cuisine, you see these typically to make like a salsa verde or some kind of salsa, right? I love them because they have kind of like this nice tangy flavor. They have a beautiful color. But when you shop for them, I tend to go for the big ones, right? And you want to make sure that they're nice and firm, that they aren't super mushy or, you know, when you squeeze them, they're kind of watery because that's one that's already kind of on its way out, although that would make good salsa. But you want to look for one that has some firmness to it like this. And then you just peel off the husk. And they're a little sticky when you do that, so I just give them a quick rinse. So that's what I did. We have 8 here, and I just gave them a quick rinse. And then along with our tomatillos, I also used 2 poblano peppers, which are these. These have great flavor, not necessarily spicy, although every once in a while you can get one that has a little bit of heat, but not really. They're just great flavor. I took just a regular jalapeno as well. And then I took a big yellow onion and I quartered that. And basically what I did was I took all of that and put it on my comal that I have at home. Toasted them up, basically charred them, right? So it has this nice kind of blackened look, but it's also great flavor. So if you think about the blackening on the onion, it's pulling out some of those nice sugars. So that's great flavor. We give this a smell. It smells amazing. When I poured it into here, I was like, wow, that smells great. There's a little bit of liquid down there that's released from the tomatillos. We're going to use that as well because that's flavor, right? I don't want to lose that. So that's basically what we're going to have in our sauce. So I'd say just kind of toast them for a few minutes on each side until you get this nice charring on all sides, and then just set them aside. And what is the thing I always tell you guys about recipes and doing things in advance? See who remembered. Pop quiz. That you can do things in stages. So this is one of those that you can do in stages as well. You could make this part of it in advance and then just blend everything up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep all this in the bowl because I'm going to use my stick blender here to just blend it. But what I want to do first is remove the stems and the seeds from this. And then we'll just, it's going to be blended, but since I don't have my big blender today, I'm going to chop it up a little bit just to help myself along here. You could keep the seeds in, but I'd recommend not doing so. Like I said, I mean, poblanos don't typically tend to be super spicy. So I'm just going to kind of try to get as much out. It's a little trickier with gloves because they stick to the gloves. So we're going to try to do that here very carefully. Sometimes people like to peel a little bit of this off too. If you have a really good blender, I say keep it on. That's the flavor too, right? But I'm just going to peel a little bit of that off. Just like that. And you'll see, like, it was a beautiful, firm, kind of shiny poblano, but now it's got this sort of flexibility to it because it's been charred, it's been sitting now. That's going to be good for chopping. And then I'll do the same thing with this poblano. And then we'll do that with our jalapeno and just give them a quick little chop and then blend them all together. So what other peppers have you all used in soups kind of similar to this? Has anybody made anything? Dorian, you're always my experimenter in the kitchen. Have you done anything similar?
Not with those. Like back home, we have like smaller peppers. So I like to add them whenever but those are like the Thai peppers.
Oh, uh-huh. Those are spicy though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those have some heat.
Yeah, like one or two if I just either wanna play prank of my family when I'm cooking or when I want a cake.
Yes,
So,
when you want a little kick.
Well, the other ones that I use is jalapeno.
Yep, just like this one right here that we're doing. Perfect. I'm going to take the seeds out. Jalapenos can also be quite spicy, and that is definitely, yeah. Sometimes I know you ladies like the spice in here. So, you know, when you're making this recipe at home, feel free to experiment and do it how you like. But for today, we're going to try to take out most of those seeds. Okay, so let me just get a little bit of the seeds off of my gloves here. And what I'm going to do is just kind of roll these up a little bit and give them, maybe cut them into strips first. And just give them a quick little run through with my knife. We're going to pop those into our bowl. Same thing here. I'm going to roll that jalapeno up in there. And we'll do the same thing. Oop. Oh, we lost one. Put that one back in there. Okay, doesn't have to be fancy because it's all going to get blended, remember? So, actually what I'm going to do is bring this a little bit closer to me. I love this room because it's all very cozy for us, but my table's a little bit smaller, so I just have to make sure that nothing goes rolling off my cutting board. Okay, so I'm just going to blend this. If you wanted to add a little bit of liquid to it, you could, but like I said, there's the liquid that released from the tomatillos after I roasted them, so that should be plenty. I'm try not to get it on me. Almost. So you can see we've got most of it blended, but we've got some bigger chunks of onion. So try to break that down. Need like a splash guard. Okay, I'm just gonna.
Blending them instead of just chopping them into fine pieces?
You can, because I want this to sort of be the part of the stock of the soup. So for flavor, I'm gonna just basically make a salsa. I'm gonna chop this onion a little bit so we can get this going through. I should have done that before. Lessons learned. I got excited. This blender is pretty strong as a little stick blender, but today it's not quite fully cooperating. So, and this is how we do it. Okay. Just gonna run my knife through these little pieces. You could do it that way though too. If you wanted a little more texture in your soup, that would be fine to do. I actually, when I originally made this recipe the first time, I saved half of the onions because I love the texture of those charred onions, and just having a little bit more of that in the soup was great. But then I felt like I maybe needed to add a second onion just to have a little extra in the total batch. And it's okay if it stays a little chunky. Okay, and that is that. So I am going to just set this aside. And this is what we have. So it looks actually like you could just stick a tortilla chip in there, right? And go to town. So that's, I mean, in a pinch, here's another quick thing. If you're really not in the mood to make that, you could probably just buy a jarred salsa and use that with your stock. That would work just fine. Actually, one of my favorite chefs do have their quick shortcuts. One of my favorite salsa verdes is like the Herdez brand. Tasty, right? All different varieties, mild, hot, whatever. Use that, a jar of that in the stock, and you're good to go. So you could skip this step, but I kind of like the fun of charring my own. Gives a good flavor, and you can adjust. And this, like I said, is 8 tomatillos, but if you wanted it to have more color, once we add the stock, it'll dilute it a little bit. But if you wanted it more like the consistency of this, just add more tomatillos. Okay? So the next thing we're going to do is just saute a little bit of garlic. And so I've got 3 cloves, because you all know I love my garlic. What I don't love is peeling it, but I've kind of helped myself along here by just slicing it in half. And oh, look, we've got like a 3-in-1 here, but we're going to count that as one because I love garlic. Yeah, it's got like the little baby one attached to the big one. We're throwing it all in.
If you were to use the Herdez only, then you wouldn't have that poblano flavor in it.
That's right. That's right, because it would be straight tomatillo. And what else? They probably put garlic, maybe some. Yeah, the poblano, I think, also adds some flavor. I actually was watching some videos of recipes yesterday, and there was a person who was making a pozole, and it had similar ingredients. I've actually not made pozole a lot. If I do, I'll make like one with a red sauce. And so in that case, I would use like dried ancho peppers, and just soak those. Has anybody else made kind of a traditional pozole before? No, okay, well, good. Well, then this can be kind of a good starting place. This could be a good starting place. I had a coworker that I used to work with when I was at the food bank, and she made a beautiful green pozole and would always make it for the holidays. And it was just very simple, lightly seasoned, and she used chicken, I believe. And it was just a nice kind of, she would serve it with a little bit of, you traditionally see it served with like shredded cabbage, some radishes, maybe some tortilla chips on the side. This is actually more than 3, so I'm gonna maybe take these out. Although garlic's good, and garlic is good for us, right? Because it has what kind of properties? Do you guys remember? What's good in garlic for us? Yeah, that's right. That's right. Keeps the vampires away, as I like to say. But yes, it has some good antibacterial properties. This is the time of year when everybody's getting their flu shots, maybe their COVID shots, just trying to keep infections at bay. So a healthy dose of garlic is never a bad thing, unless you're allergic to garlic. I had a friend who I used to work with in the restaurant world, and she was allergic to garlic. Yeah, it was really sad because her husband was a French chef, and he could not use garlic in her food. But anyway, okay, so we're just gonna mince this a little bit, just like so, and then I'm gonna add, what did I have in here? A tablespoon of olive oil. You all know I love cooking with olive oil. It's one of our heart-healthy oils, so you could also use whatever oil you have on hand. I would say Since it's only a tablespoon, there's no like, oh, let a little of that escape. Set this back here. There's no risk in it kind of flavoring too much the soup, so I tend to go for olive oil. And this was open a minute ago. Let's see. Got a funny lid on here. There we go. Okay. I'm going to kind of eyeball it a little bit here. That's about a tablespoon. So we've got some healthy fats in this soup. We're using a very lean turkey, and I'll get to that in a minute to tell you how I did that. But basically just want to saute this a little bit, and then we're going to add in everything else. And then if you all remember, I don't know, what was it, the 80s, Ron Popeil, the set it and forget it. So we're going to add in our salsa. Oh, I found an onion. Uh-oh. There was a piece that didn't get blended on the bottom. That's okay. It's going to be extra flavor. Okay. So we're going to add that all in. So like I said, that's kind of the base of our stock as well. We're also going to add in 2 quarts of unsalted chicken broth. And you could get the salted, but just look at the sodium content, right? Like a lot of things, what I was trying to do, we have our running joke of things not being too salty in class. But if you look at the nutrition values here, the sodium is a little bit high, but I'm using unsalted chicken broth, and I'm just going to add sodium at the end, right? We're going to add the salt at the end. I think when I made my final batch, I used 3 teaspoons, but that was a little high, so I adjusted it for our recipe. So you all will have to be the judge and tell me. But salt helps bring kind of the flavor together as well, so we want to put some of it in there. The other thing you can consider too, so with the turkey, you all will have cooked that turkey with all sorts of seasoning, right? And maybe you stuff your turkey with the stuffing in it, so that's going to be additional sodium you're adding to your bird, flavor, moisture, all of that. But the turkey that I cooked today was actually just a turkey breast, and I lightly seasoned it. Actually, I'm going to do this. Okay. To that, we're also going to add some spices, and I'm going to eyeball this a little bit. It's just half a teaspoon of cumin. That's a great spice for this kind of recipe here. And then we'll add in our salt, which is about 2.5 teaspoons. So we're going to go in with that, a little pinch more.
And then regular salt.
Yep, just regular table salt. I cook with kosher salt at home, but I know most people tend to have just regular table salt, so that's what we're using today. This can, it's about 30 ounces of yellow hominy. So you may traditionally see like the white hominy in pozole. My favorite is this yellow, so that's why I used it, because it's my favorite. It tastes pretty much the same, I think. Has anybody cooked with that before? Oh, okay. All right. I'll let that sit then. And then the last thing we're going to add is our turkey. So I'll tell you how let me add this turkey in and put the lid on. Did I miss anything, ladies? Okay, great. So like I said, I purchased a turkey breast, and it's all white meat, right? So I had to be careful not to overcook it. So what I did was I took a baking sheet, lined it with a little bit of foil, and then I put some celery and some onion on the bottom, just kind of to line that, give my turkey some moisture and some aromatics. And then I just kind of lightly drizzled some olive oil on the turkey breast, a little bit of salt, and some poultry seasoning. So everybody tends to have that around, right, when you're cooking up your turkey for the holidays. Just pop the rest of this in. It's about 6 cups. It was about a 5-pound turkey that I cooked and roasted that on 350 for about, I want to say hour and a half. And then just let it sit. So I took it out of the oven. I covered it completely in foil. Took it out of the oven and let it rest, and then let it cool and just shredded the meat. So this looks delicious already. Okay, so we're gonna just let that sit for a little bit here. If I can get this lid back on. There we go, I think we're good. Okay, so we're gonna just let that all kind of come together. But that's pretty much it, right? Super easy. what I wanted to say about the turkey. So yeah, so turkey breast obviously is the white meat, so it's going to be a lot leaner. So I was trying not to overcook it. So that's why I was adding, oh, actually another trick that I did, and you don't have to, but I had a pan of water in my oven. Do you guys know why I did that? Extra moisture. Yeah, sometimes bakers will do that when they're baking bread because they want additional like steam in their baking to help with the baking of whatever they're making. But I did that as well, just because the first time that I cooked the turkey breast, I cooked it what I thought was enough time, and it just was a little too tough because again, it's white lean meat, and so you want to make sure you have enough moisture in there. This is just going to kind of cook it through, and that way it won't be too tough and stringy. You could also use chicken if you're not a fan of turkey, but this recipe, obviously, because it's the holidays, we're trying to use up things that we may have a little extra of during the holidays. But pretty much that's it. So we just kind of let that sit. We're gonna give it a few minutes to just kind of come together, and then we'll give it a try. Any questions so far? Okay. No?
What was
Yes?
the name of the salsa that you like?
Oh, yeah, Herdez. 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 DEZ. Yeah, you can find it pretty much at any grocery store. And I think it comes in different, just like heat levels. I usually go for mild or medium, actually. I think I do medium.
Okay, now the olive oil I noticed is Texas. So where is it?
Where's it from?
Yeah.
That's a great question.
It's like the hill country.
It could be. Hold on, I need my glasses because it's super tiny. This is one of the ones that HEB carries, and I tend to, it just says Texas Olive Ranch, which actually does not say.
Oh.
If someone has their phone out, if you want to look up texasoliveranch.com. I know that Hill Country would be my guess, but my parents used to live in this little town called Oilton just outside of Laredo. And in another town not too far from there named Hebronville, there was a gentleman who was starting to grow olive trees. And I thought that was so cool because I remember this was years ago, seeing the trees and thinking, boy, those look a lot like olive trees. And my mom said, oh, yes, he's actually growing them. I'm like, So apparently we may have the climate or the right climate for growing that, which is pretty cool. So yeah, Texas olive oil. But yeah, olive oil, great thing to use, heart healthy. The other thing that I'm going to do is we're going to add, just to the top, I mentioned you could do like shredded cabbage, sliced radishes, maybe some cilantro. I have for you today some lime wedges because I think that helps kind of enhance the flavor. So we'll give you some of that, and then some avocado for those of you who would love that. Another heart healthy thing to eat, right? I love avocados. These were actually 59 cents, which price coming down, right? How about that? A penny cheaper than what they were last week. Good things are happening, I guess. So anyway, let me clean off my board here a little bit. But yeah, this recipe is super easy, and that's also the thing too, right? Because the holidays tend to be stressful. We're making these recipes that maybe have multiple steps. They might be these fun traditional recipes that we only bring out once a year, but they take a lot of work. I think tamales, right? San Antonio, we have tamales year round. We can go buy them if we don't want to make them. But if you're making them, multiple steps, a lot of work. So this one I was like, you got the turkey already made, go ahead and just shred it up and then add it to your soup.
So in using the chicken, is a whole chicken or?
Yeah, because this recipe calls for 6 cups of shredded whatever protein. So I would say chicken and turkey are pretty comparable. So I'd say aim for about that. I think when I weighed this batch, it was about just a little under 3 pounds of cooked meat. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but chicken would work perfectly in here. Or if you're not a fan of either of those, what else do you think you could use in here? There's another protein. Tofu would be interesting, but there's actually another meat protein that pozole has been made with before. Any guesses? Pork, yes. So pork is another lean meat. That would be great.
We found it on the HEB app.
Oh, okay. What does it say for our olive oil?
It's just Texas Olive Ranch roasted garlic. We have garlic
Oh.
oil, tortilla extra virgin.
They do actually have more
varieties.
varieties now. Yeah. Yeah, this brand, it's actually one of the more least expensive olive oils. It comes in different sizes, but it comes in different
Yeah, we have a
flavors
whole-
as
We have
well.
a whole range of products.
Yeah, very cool. Well, if you guys are interested, check it out.
I have a friend that went to Dripping Springs, and they have an olive
That could be.
place
Yes.
there.
Ooh, that'd be a
And
fun little day
could
trip.
Go do a tasting.
Ooh, fun.
They offer that. So
I would be, see, you're speaking my language there. I would totally go do that. Just make a day of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fun. Has anybody gone olive oil tasting before?
Yes, in springtime, the farmers market, they have olive oil tasting.
Ah, okay.
And there are about 6 or 7 vendors, and they're from Austin, Hill Country.
Ah, okay.
And a long time ago, Sandy Oaks Olive Farm on the south side, that closed actually.
Oh, wait,
Yeah.
is that the place across from on Hackberry Street?
Probably.
It's still open.
No, it's closed.
Oh.
They had a restaurant and everything. The lady
Oh,
died.
okay.
The owner died.
Oh, I must be thinking of a different
This
one.
was out south of town.
Ah,
And
okay.
it's big.
I have 6 olive trees from Sandy Oaks Olive Farm.
Oh, wow.
They're the size of this.
That's great. So do you get olives from your olive tree?
But
That's,
not enough to make olive.
yeah, that's, you need quite a bit, but
Usually you tend to grind them.
that's nice. Oh, so lucky. I wish, I wish I had room to grow fruit trees or something like that.
Brand is like Spanish olives, the Alpina.
Yes, that's
Spanish
true.
olives, the small ones.
The
Much
small
more
little
flavorful,
green. Yeah, it says fresh and buttery. Arbequina, that is a Spanish olive. You can look that up as well. Maybe we'll do a class on olives, everything olives. That would be fun. Awesome. Okay. Any other questions on the recipe before we move along? Okay. We're going to, it does, right? I know. I can't wait for you all to try it. All right. Well, we're going to move on to just kind of talking a little bit more about food, seasons eatings, what's kind of in season. I feel like after I moved back to Texas, the seasons kind of looked a little different, and I had to readjust to how I cooked for that. Because when I was cooking in restaurants, and in particular the restaurant I worked at, it was very seasonal, and we had farmers who were coming in and bringing us all these beautiful, like the bounty of what they were growing, and it was really cool to see that. Because as somebody who had not been used to or accustomed to that, it was just like overwhelming to see all the varieties of things coming, and then to finally develop like the pattern of, oh, this is the time of year when we get fresh asparagus, or like I associate asparagus and Mother's Day because we would always do at the restaurant I cooked at Mother's Day brunch, and it was huge. It was like the Super Bowl of restaurant days because that's everybody takes their mother out to eat, right? But we had a farmer from Eastern Washington who would bring just cases and cases of fresh asparagus, and it was some of the sweetest, most beautiful asparagus I've ever had. So every time I see asparagus now, that's what I think of. And so that's kind of the interesting thing here in Texas. Like the seasons are a little bit different because you have to get accustomed to the climate and the zones and what's kind of growing. We don't tend to have a lot of like people who are growing things here. And so Austin, there's a lot of great farmers there, kind of surrounding areas. San Antonio is getting more of that, but not kind of like what I was accustomed to. So it's always interesting to kind of try to find the seasonal things, but there are some. And I think these are the ones that I identified are kind of ones that I think are kind of, you can find anywhere, right? So squash is a big thing. You'll start to see that. I started to see some probably in September even at the stores. Some of my favorites are acorn, butternut, delicata. We did a recipe last year, if you guys remember, with that beautiful, it's kind of like sort of long striped yellow and green, and you can cut it into slices and it looks like that beautiful kind of almost like a flower. You take the seeds out and it's got kind of the hollow center, but those are super sweet, and you can even eat the skin. Those are beautiful to cook with. Pumpkins. Okay, I have to tell you all a funny story about pumpkins. So my mother is a fan of obviously Halloween, and so we decided to buy 3 pumpkins this year. And what did we do with those pumpkins? We actually cooked them. So she loves to make empanadas every year, and she will actually use the pumpkins that we buy instead of just tossing them or I don't know if you have animals you can feed them to. I guess you could do that too. But most people just carve them and they toss them, right? Or they wait till the deer. Yeah, I've seen. What park is that they feed them to the deer? There's
In my neighborhood, but
well, there's actually a park here in San Antonio I went to last year, and there were tons of pumpkins around, and the deer were just like having a field day. Somebody goes out and just puts these pumpkins out for them. But yeah, so my mother decided to help me roast some pumpkins. But when she made her empanadas, something happened with the dough part. And so they came out, the filling was fantastic. The pumpkin was great. The flavor, all of it was the same. Like that's the flavor I know from decades of her making those right every year. but something happened with her dough, and they came out a little too crisp. So they were almost like super thin and like cracker like. And I was like, well, Mom, we've got more pumpkin in the freezer, so let's give it a go again this weekend. But she, I love watching her in the kitchen because at 89, she's still having a good time and enjoying herself. And I'm like, that's a beautiful thing. So I'm not going to take that away from her. So go ahead and make a mess in the kitchen. It's fun. But squash, yes. So they're great roasted, stuffed, pureed into soups. There's a lot of great pumpkin soup recipes of all different like cuisines. You'll see some with like coconut milk or fish sauce or chili paste, like lots of great flavors you can add to pumpkin. And they're naturally kind of sweet and creamy. And so I think they lend themselves well to recipes like that. Any of your favorites that you tend to kind of buy this time of year when you see them?
Mine is the butternut squash. I always mix the butternut squash.
Yeah, butternut squash is a good one too. We did a recipe last year, was it, or earlier this year? Butternut squash, the mac and cheese.
Oh, that was extremely good. And we did that was sweet potato. I don't remember the name of that type of pumpkin, but it's mostly it's like green on the outside and kind of yellowy on the inside. It's mostly that's what I
Oh yes, we were talking about that. Wasn't the kabocha squash,
I
was it?
think it was,
Yes,
so
I just saw some of those not too long ago, actually at HEB. I think it's kind of, I don't know if it's a Japanese kind of squash, but you see it in a lot of, I've never actually tasted one, but I hear that they're really good in like soups. Yeah.
We make, my brother taught me the soup that I used to harass him for the recipe because it's amazing. I don't like pumpkin and I would devour, he would, they would have to set aside a little bit for me after because I would lick the
That's a good recipe. Yeah.
So it's that's my go-to every year.
Yeah, it's good to find those recipes that are like, you keep it in your regular routine of things. Yeah. And especially when you have a recipe from somebody who's like tested it, right? Like it's going to work out well. That's always nice because half the time I think when people are a little hesitant about cooking a new recipe, it's like, oh, what if it doesn't turn out? And then I bought all these ingredients. And what am I going to do with it? But if you have one that somebody has cooked several times and you're like, this is really awesome. I've tasted it. Now I'm going to make it. Now, the only thing that happens sometimes is like if you cook it and you're like, it doesn't taste exactly like how they tasted it, I think they're skipping something they didn't tell you. They're not giving you the extra ingredient or something. They're holding back because my mother used to do that a lot too. So like, mine doesn't turn out that way.
I improved the recipe because he just boiled the pumpkin. I roasted.
See.
So I improved it.
It makes a difference. And that's a good point too. With squash, they do have some water content to them. So like my mom was saying, she boiled the pumpkin, the first pumpkin that she cooked, and she had to kind of like press a lot of the moisture, a lot of the liquid out. And I said, no, let's roast them because you get nice kind of caramelization, you get more flavor, and you don't lose all of that moisture. And so she's like, oh, I should have done it that way. And I was like, well, we got 3 pumpkins, so you got one more shot at it. Okay, the other thing I love, citrus. So you all know I'm a big fan of these Cara oranges, which are now starting to make an appearance at the grocery stores. They look, I feel like they're kind of a cross between a navel orange and a grapefruit because they have kind of like that pinkish flesh, but they're sweet and they're always nice and juicy. And so they're one of my favorites. Lately, what I've been doing, I might have to do a beverage class because lately what I've been doing is making jamaica at home. I usually make it, the hibiscus leaves, and I add a nice chunk of cinnamon stick, and then I add in the juice of 1 orange. And I had some Caracaras. That is some of the best. And then if you wanted to make it a little sparkly, you could add some carbonated, just kind of plain soda to that. Super good. We might have to do beverages next month or January. Ruby grapefruit, tangerines, Meyer lemons. Has anybody cooked with those before? Some
breads.
Yeah.
Zest them and juice them.
Yes. So Meyer lemons are beautiful. You can sometimes see them at the grocery store here, probably about this time of year. They look like a lemon, but they have the most like aromatic flavor or smell, and they're they're just, yeah, I've seen a lot of people either use them in baking or they'll make like curd out of them, like lemon curd for pies and things like that. They're really just fragrant, aromatic kind of lemon. So you could make lemon juice or lemonade out of them too. That'd be really good and make kind of like a mocktail from them. Key limes are fun. Yeah, key lime pie, right? That's also fun. I had a cousin who had key limes, tangerines, and grapefruit in her backyard. And I was so sad when they told me that they sold that house not too long ago. And I was like, what did you do with all the citrus?
Key limes and Mexican or Meyer lemon trees in my backyard.
Oh, lucky you. A couple years ago, HEB was selling pink lemon trees, and I couldn't get it to grow, and I moved here. And a friend of mine gave it to her mother, and she has it growing, and she has pink lemons, which I'd never heard of. But the leaves, just even the leaves, had a beautiful smell to them, kind of like Meyer lemons, just very fragrant. So maybe HEB will carry those from time to time, but. So lemons, any kind of citrus, obviously great for salads. You can cook them down into like a compote or like a chutney, kind of warm fruit. Add some spices in there, add them into quick breads or cakes. What's some of your favorite things that you all like to do with citrus fruits this time of year? Because there's a lot of variety out there this time of year, which I appreciate.
I like to mix the orange and cranberries like with muffins.
Yeah, orange and cranberry is a classic. Yes, that's a good one.
Salads.
Salads. Yeah, that salad we made last week, that would be great with any kind of citrus in it. Yep. Okay, and then the other thing we have are root vegetables. So think like your beets, your turnips, your rutabagas, parsnips, kohlrabi. Do you guys know what that is? I think I've mentioned it. I'll have to bring something in one time to just do like a taste test. Kohlrabi is... how do I describe it? They can be, usually they're green, they're kind of round, they have leaves like a beet. You can cook with all of it, but you want to take off the outer peel because it's too fibrous. And then the inside will look just kind of like a cross between sort of like a potato, and they're sweet. They have a little bit of a sweetness to them though, but they are a root vegetable, so they're kind of starchy. But you can eat them raw. You could kind of like chop them up and make them into a salad or coleslaw. Some people roast them like turnips and just kind of put a little butter, salt and pepper, or olive oil on them. They're really good. They have a nice flavor. Parsnips are always great. So you can steam them, roast them, just put a little bit of fresh herbs on them. You can even pickle them. And that's one thing that I always like to encourage people to do is like, try them cooked in a variety of ways, because sometimes it might not be your favorite to eat them raw, or maybe you can't digest them that well and you need to cook them down a little bit. So try different ways. But pickling things is a great way to do that. And, you know, a lot of times we go out to our holiday parties and there's all sorts of stuff, right? And we want to make sure that we have a variety of things. And remember last class we were talking about take little portions of things and try everything. Ask what's in it, you know, obviously if you have dietary restrictions, but just make sure that you're trying a little bit of everything. But pickling items gives you a different flavor and texture, right? You've got the crunchy, the crispy, the tangy. And sometimes like I had recently some pickled beets that had a little bit of jalapeno but cinnamon in them, and they were so delicious. Because they had a little bit of sweetness, they had the spicy from the jalapeno, but not a lot. And I just love beets. Not everybody's a fan of beets, but I thought they were great. Okay, any favorite root vegetables for you all? Things that you like to cook with? Everything. I love to hear that. Okay. Well, if anybody is interested in kohlrabi, I'm sure we can find some. Maybe I'll do a recipe with that.
If you roast turnips and kohlrabi, they turn a little sweet. And I use it with bitter leaves like mustard greens or collard greens to cook with them, and then, you know, fry it with ginger, garlic.
Oh, that sounds good too.
So the sweetness of that really cuts down on the bitterness of mustard greens.
That's a great tip too. So kind of balancing flavor. I love that. Okay, and then the last thing is our cruciferous veggies. So think Brussels sprouts, broccoli, our cauliflower, cabbage, kale, kind of those heartier vegetables. Collard greens are one of my favorites too. These can be cooked. I mean, you could eat all of these raw on like a charcuterie plate, or you could lightly steam them, roast them, add them to soups. I made a delicious sausage and white bean soup with some spinach. Could have put kale in there. Like try to find ways to add more vegetables into your diet. And just because it's the holidays, we tend to kind of consume things that are a little bit more rich, but we want to pay attention to just continuing to add like the fruits and veggies. And these are some great ways to do it, but doing it seasonally. Okay, and so on that note, in addition to continuing to maintain sort of a healthy diet, right, throughout the holidays, we want to make sure we're still moving through the holidays. And so if you all aren't into kind of like a regular routine of movement, there are some things that you can think about doing to incorporate, because we want to make sure that we're still moving. We don't want to stay stagnant. The holidays can bring a lot of things, right? Like they can be stressful, they can be sad, they can be just like high energy and exciting, but we want to maintain our sense of movement and kind of our mood, and we'll talk more about that next week. But as far as movement, think about doing some things that are kind of seasonal, right? So maybe there's a local neighborhood or your own neighborhood that has some holiday lights up. Take a little brisk walk after dinner and just enjoy the lights, have sort of the holiday in the background, but get a little walk in, get some movement in. Unwinding from the hype of the holidays, if you maybe belong to a gym or something, soaking in a pool, taking a few laps, if that's kind of a way to unwind. Maybe you're not into kind of going for the full hike or whatever, or maybe you are, and that's a great way to kind of decompress. This one's my favorite because you all know I love to cook with music. So turn on your favorite Christmas tunes and have a dance party in your kitchen. Dance party for one while you're baking, right? You got some time in between, set that timer and be like 10 minutes, go. And then the last thing is between the main course and dessert, move outside, right? Encourage, if you're with family or friends, go outside. There's some cool lawn games, cornhole, bocce ball. I had friends who used to play that quite a bit. It's just a way to kind of keep moving. A lot of people will go and like play football or something, like just moving around or even just taking that walk, right? So we want to make sure that we continue to move during the holidays, even after we've enjoyed all of those delicious things, because it's really important, not just to our body, but to our mental health, and to just kind of stick with the routine, right? A lot of times the holidays are very sporadic. It kind of throws us off our routine, but if we find some things, incorporate a little bit of seasonality to it, I think we stay kind of level, balanced, and we make it through the next 2 months. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna take a peek at the soup because I hear it. Ooh, yay! It smells delicious. Okay, so it is nice and bubbly. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit. And so this is kind of more of a brothier soup, you can see. Like I was saying, you saw how thick that salsa was, right? If you wanted this to be a little more thick and green, you could add, you could even add that jar of salsa, right? Just to thicken it up. But I kind of like more brothier soups. Reminds me of like a chicken soup. If you're suffering from the flu, this might be a delicious one to try. Let me turn this down. Okay. And what I'm going to do is maybe have my lovely assistant come and help me sort of dish out a little bit of this. And just remember, y'all, I did not put the 3 teaspoons of salt in here, but we're going to give it a go. I usually taste it, but I don't have my spoon next to me, so you guys can help me be the judge of this. But I think we're ready, nice and hot. And while, oh, careful, let me give you a hand with that. While we're doing that, I'll also dice up some avocado for us. You can use these. Okay, sweet. All right. Get this over here. Okay. So any questions while we're dishing up? Carrizo Springs. Where the olive oil is from. Oh, fantastic. Okay. That's amazing. I love that. I wonder if they do little tours.
They're starting.
Ah, okay.
You need to book it with
Okay.
Josh the Wrangler.
Josh the Wrangler. Oh, is he single? Just kidding. So, okay, folks at home, this olive oil comes from Carrizo Springs, and they're starting to do tours. So that could be a fun little holiday thing to do if they're doing that. I'm going to show you one quick little trick, and then as we're dishing out, we'll say goodbye to folks at home, and then we'll call it the end. But avocado, I'm going to dice this up. My quick way of doing it, I think I've showed you this before, is I take my knife along one side instead of holding it in my hand, right? Because we never want to do that, although we probably do that at home a lot. And I just turn my avocado. And so that way I've got my avocado nice and sliced, and ooh, look at that. We got a good one. 59 cents, folks. And you can still like either take a spoon and dish that out, or I do the knife, but we'll do that off camera. Safety, folks, safety first. And we're just going to dice this up for those of you who would like to add that to your soup. And that is it for today. So I hope you all enjoyed the recipe. Hope you all give it a try at home after you cook those lovely turkeys in a couple of weeks. And feel free to kind of make it your own at home as well. So thanks again for being here, and we'll see you next week.